Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and this week's video is about the parts of deity work nobody is really talking about. So as you probably know by now, I like to be really open and honest about everything on this channel, and I like to talk about things that no one seems to be talking about. So I thought, let's also talk about the parts of deity work that I feel like are kind of not represented online, or that people just don't talk about because, of course, people like to share everything that is sunshine and rainbows on social media, and not all the parts of deity work are always beautiful and wonderful and perfect. Sometimes deity work is a struggle, sometimes deity work is hard, and I think it's important to talk about that. So let's do that in this video. The first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that deities might not want to work with you. It's really possible that you picked out a deity that you want to work with, and you reach out to the deity, and this deity does not want to talk to you, they don't answer you, or they just give you a straight no in your face. It's possible. It's possible. It's not fun, because, I mean, you will have your reasons for wanting to work with that specific deity, but it's possible that this deity isn't interested in working with you, just like not every human being will be interested in having a relationship with you. Not every deity will be interested in that. And that's just a thing that we have to accept. It's not the coolest thing to happen to us, but unfortunately, it is possible. Also, can we please just talk about the fact that deities might be pissed at you if you don't do their work properly? I feel like people only talk about when deity work goes right, and when they learn something new because of the deities that they're working with, or when they evolved because of the deity that they're working with, or when the deity is really proud of them, stuff like that. That stuff gets shared so much. But I mean, am I the only person that doesn't always do what their deities want, like properly, the way that they want it, and that has their deities pissed at them? Am I the only person to who that happens? It seems like it. At least I haven't really heard of it on social media before, but it's something that will happen. I mean, we're human, we have our responsibilities, we don't have endless energy, and sometimes we're just lazy, or sometimes we misinterpret what our deities want us to do, so we do the wrong thing, or we do it in a wrong way, and then maybe, depending on the deity, it's possible that they might not be that happy about it. I currently have that happen to me with Freya. If you have seen my previous videos, you will know about what she was pissed about, but she wasn't really happy with me and the work that I'm doing for her, and I completely understand that. It's not really cool. It feels a little bit like having a parental figure being disappointed at you. If you know how that feels, it's kind of similar. I don't really like the feeling, so I will make sure that it doesn't happen again, but it happens. It happens, and it's fine when that happens. You can make up for it, you can say you're sorry, it's fine. But it's not the most fun thing in the world, let's just say that. The next thing is something that probably everyone knows, but I don't feel like a lot of people talk about online, and that is just being confused about signs, or not getting that thing that happened is a sign, or having to Google even if something is a sign. It doesn't feel like you're a professional if you Google signs. It's not glamorous, but it's something that needs to be done. If you are an expert on deity signs, that's cool. I'm definitely not. I'm pretty blind when it comes to signs. Deities really have to give me like such big signs for me to get it. It's ridiculous, but it's normal. It's so normal, and I just don't want people who start out with deity work to think that they always have to know whether things are a sign. They definitely don't. You don't have to always know. I also made a separate video on that if you want to check that out. Yeah, sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it is a struggle. And while we are talking about signs, can we please talk about how hard communicating with deities is sometimes? I mean, it's the same with other entities or other spirits. It's so hard sometimes. I mean, if you're maybe gifted and your psychic abilities are really much developed and you're maybe clairaudient, then it might be really easy because you can just talk to a deity and they will just answer and you will hear their answers and you can talk to them like you're talking to another human. But I, for example, I don't have the luxury of having my psychic abilities developed to such a good point that it's that easy. I have to go into deep trances or use various different divination methods, stuff like that, to communicate with my deities. And that is sometimes really hard because I feel like using a pendulum, for example, is, for me personally, the easiest way to communicate with deities. But it's still really hard because, of course, you have to ask the right questions. If you don't ask the right questions, the deity can't just move the pendulum magically and you will know what they want to tell you. You're basically, most of the time, you're asking yes and no questions, and if you don't ask the right questions, then, well. So deity communication is really hard sometimes, especially for beginners. It is really hard, and that's also why I will definitely make a separate video on how you can communicate with deities, because I think it's so important. It's so important, and you have to find the right way for yourself to do it. My memory is really bad. I have to admit, my memory is really bad, so I forget about a lot of things in general. I just hope I'm not the only person, but I oftentimes just forget about things. Like, I will maybe promise a deity to talk to them, and then I will forget, or I will forget to light their candles for weeks on end, or I will forget to give them offerings for a long time. I will just forget about things a lot of the times, and it's just a thing that happens. I forget often. You will probably forget at some point, and it's okay. It's completely fine. Something that has not happened to me yet, fortunately, but will probably happen at some point, is that deities will leave. Probably at some point. I mean, of course, there will be probably deities that will work with you for your whole life, but I think the majority won't. You will probably worship them still, but there is the possibility that a deity will only work with you for a specific amount of time or for a specific period of your life, because they want you to reach some kind of goal and reach a specific goal themselves by working with you. And if you both have reached that goal, then they will leave, or they could leave. And that can be probably really sad. As I said, fortunately, I haven't had that happen to me yet, but I imagine it being really sad, like losing the connection to a friend, because, well, they won't be reaching out to you anymore. So having that energy be missing in your life, I guess it's really sad. And that is just a sad fact that could happen. I've seen Chaotic Witch Aunt talk about it, which I thought was really cool that they were talking about it, but other than that, I haven't seen anyone talk about it online. Another thing that I think is really important to talk about is feeling overwhelmed with it, having to face your fears, struggling, Because, as I said, deity work isn't just rainbows and butterflies and giving them offerings from time to time. A lot of times, deities want you to evolve and to become better human beings. And because they want that, they will probably have you face some fears or traumas or work through things. And it's not always fun, it's sometimes really hard. I had that happen to me too. Odin is definitely a deity that likes to challenge you. And sometimes it can be really struggling, really hard, but I think it's still really rewarding, because if you do that, if you overcome your fears, for example, it's so rewarding to see yourself evolve. I mean, since I have worked with deities, I have evolved so much. I have, for example, overcome so much of my social anxiety, which is amazing. And I have to give a big thanks to Odin and Freya for that, because they were a big part of that. It's really possible that you will struggle at times and that you will feel overwhelmed, but I think it's still worth it. I don't want to be so negative about everything, because deity work is really beautiful. And the last thing that I think is really, really important to talk about is you don't have to do everything that a deity asks of you. Just because you're working with a deity and they ask you to do a specific thing, that doesn't mean that you have to do it. You are not forced to do anything that a deity wants. There is a possibility that they ask something of you that you are not comfortable doing, then you are completely free to not do it. I would advise you to tell them that you won't do it and why you won't do it, and to be respectful about it and explain it properly, so that they know that you're not just lazy or something. But you definitely don't have to do everything that a deity asks. I think that's important. You are still a human being. You still have your own free will. And that's all the topics that I wanted to talk about today. If there are things about deity work that you feel are misrepresented online or not represented at all, then please tell me about them in the comments. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe and give a thumbs up, and follow me on Instagram maybe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!